Hello everyone, welcome to today's stream of the latest Guild Guardians Dev Diary entry. I know it's been a while since the last edition, but we are planning to pick these up once again. Today I'm joined by Derek and the game director for Guild Guardians and Josiah, our lead game designer. So this is very special because we haven't really done this before and we're definitely going to be doing it a lot more. So thanks everyone for joining us today. And so today's stream, we're going to be taking you through an exclusive first look into the massive Medium article that you guys are going to be able to read and gain access to later after the stream to catch up with all the latest, Guild Guardian developments and updates. So welcome, Jarek and Josiah.
What's up?
Hello, thank you. It's good to try being on stream. I think this is the first.
This is the first, yeah.
100%. I think that the community just used to our voices most of the time, but now there's a face to the name, and we're going live as well, so that interaction is definitely picking up. And yeah, Derek, so whenever you're ready, feel free to share the Medium article on.
Yeah, let me set up.
Yeah, no worries.
Also, yes, GOG morning to everyone. I've got the chat open on another monitor, so if I'm looking at that's why.
I should do that too. I didn't know we could watch the chat live. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just on the side there.
Oh, actually, there's comments that pop up on the stream as well. Okay.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
God morning fries. We have a few very familiar faces in the community. Cool's Potato.
Okay, I've just shared the screen with you, Ryan.
Yep, thanks for that, Derek.
Bring that up.
Yep, let's put this up. So Derek has the latest Diaries entry up. If anyone feels like we should zoom in a bit, just let us know. And yeah, I think we can get started. So yeah, I want to introduce everyone. Go ahead.
Yeah, so maybe let me just start by setting the context of what this is. So it's been a while since we shared our last detailed update with the community, and we wanted to really let people know what we've been up to across all the different many topics that there are within Guild of Guardians. And so the team has put together this Guild of Guardians Diaries edition number 5. Hopefully we will do these more frequently in the future as well, but to give you a sense of what's happening. So kind of the reason we also wanted to set up this live stream is to have a conversation between us three, so Ryan, Josiah, and myself, about what's happening, give a bit more flavor behind some of these, behind the article, and just to kind of give this audience the first glimpse of things. So as always, we're going to show some things in here that may change. So just the usual disclaimer there. So first off, should we start with just a summary of what's been going on? Okay, let's start with the summary.
Yeah,
so there's a lot here, and let me just give you if you're tuning in and you only have a few minutes, this is the summary. Right? So number one, pre-alpha demo was a success for us. So we, in particular, tracked the different metrics during pre-alpha, and we think there's a lot of potential in the game. There's also a lot to change and a lot to work on, but it's a great sign of success for us. The second kind of update for us, major update, is that the public alpha is on track. So we're on track to launch in the second half of 2022. We're not revealing the specific date because there is still a lot of work to go. There's a lot of complexity behind it, but things are looking good. The third thing is we want to talk through a bit later about some of the key features that are going to be in public alpha. And these are things that we haven't shared as much information on, potentially, but that we're building into the game. And then I'd say all across the board, we're making pretty heavy progress, which we'll dive into. One of the things that I think a lot of people ask for is around staking as well. And so this is something that is currently under development, and we're aiming to release this before public alpha actually launches. Again, no date for this, but this is exciting because it's our first way of kind of fully aligning incentives between us and the community through the token. And then there's, we're massively growing our team. I think our team has doubled in the last, since our last update, and our team's wants to double again in the next coming months. And we have a few kind of programs that were in place that are coming in place as well that we want to push forward that'll help empower and reward the community, and also kind of some big partnership announcements as well, which we want to kind of hint at. So that's the high level summary, and we'll get into some of these details as we go.
So Derek just pretty much shared for everyone who doesn't have the time to be with us for the entire stream, just a high level summary like you just mentioned. And as soon as we finish this live stream, we're going to be publishing this live for everyone else to read. We're obviously not going to be going through everything today, but just the things that we think you guys are going to find the most exciting. So here we also have the pre-alpha demo retrospect. I don't know, Derek, if you want to go through this, because I know that we touched on pre-alpha a few times. But yeah, you can take it away.
Yeah, so here we overall, we're very thankful for everyone's contribution to the pre-alpha demo. Ultimately, I think the number of hours played by the community during that is probably more than the number of hours that we've played testing, just because players can play so much, right? So it gives us so much valuable data that we can use and valuable insights. So incredibly thankful for everyone's contribution here. The pre-alpha demo was successful in terms of not only the performance and the uptime, so it was very stable, the game was pretty reasonable, but also in terms of the metrics. And so I don't know if we've shared this previously, but we had some pretty good engagement metrics. So on average, I think players were playing around an hour a day. And the day 7, so if someone logged in, the chance of them being still around after 7 days was 45% or so. So overall, we see pretty good metrics that are strong indicators for the future. We've linked, I think, an illustration of the pre-alpha demo gameplay for some of those who may not be as up to date as well. So economy. So the pre-alpha demo was also an opportunity for us to capture data on how players interacted with the game. Not only in terms of the different fun builds that people found out about, but also in terms of the progression and the hero summoning and merge rates and so on. And so we're actually taking a lot of this to feed into the analysis that we're doing behind the scenes to help us create both a fun but balanced and sustainable economy in the future as well. So I think that the pre-alpha demo, even though the economy wasn't fully there, I think it was definitely useful to help us tweak things as we move towards alpha. That's kind of the key highlight there. Anything to add on those topics, Ryan?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, just to continue on the pre-alpha discussion. Obviously, from the community side, we also wanted to kind of bring on pre-alpha demo just for the sake of the community, right? Just for the sentiment, just so people know exactly what we've actually been building for this time. And I'd say a big positive takeaway is that we got a lot of positive feedback as well as constructive feedback. But I think we can all say certainly that there's lots of excitement that we had within our communities as soon as we launched pre-alpha demo, and it led right through the 2 weeks that we had. So I think that's really positive signs, given the fact that the game, we're still at a very big skeleton phase. I think people understand, most people in for example, mainstream games, you're just used to the final product and you don't see anything before that. So in Web3 games, when you actually get to share the development stages and everything like that with the team that's building on it, it's kind of a shock in the sense that people are not used to not seeing the final product. So I think it's really good signs that the community actually, they're happy with what they got and they know that there's so much more to come.
Yeah, thanks. So let's dive into the game dev update next. In summary, there is a lot happening. For context, for those of you who might not know, we actually get a copy of the build every 1 or 2 weeks and kind of play test that internally in order to try to improve the game. We just came off a 1.5 hour or 2 hour conversation discussing how to improve the game. So this is something we think about a lot. And this is something that the entire team is working very hard as well to not only discuss ideas, but actually implement and execute, which is kind of the hard part. So walking through a few of these areas. So the first topic is around wallet onboarding. And the team has currently been working on how to make this experience as smooth as possible. Our goal and vision is we want to onboard millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people into Web3 gaming. And in order to do that, having a good first-time user experience is incredibly valuable. And so one of the things we've been working on that'll be released kind of in the first iteration of Guild Guardians for alpha is custodial wallets. And so what this means is that someone will be able to log in to kind of download the game from the App Store, create an account using just their email, and then have a wallet created for them and just immediately start playing. And so this is something that will make the wallet and onboarding experience much, much easier for players. It'll make it easier to do things like merging, like summoning. You won't have to download a separate MetaMask app in order to play. And this is something that we're working on integrating into the game. So far, we have done the first prototype. So you can, in the copies of the game that we have, you can curate a wallet and play the game. And we're soon going to have the next iterations, which is integrating the various features, which currently we can dive into in a bit more. But ultimately, this will make sure that we can first have the app be, App Store friendly, so that we can get featured by the likes of Apple and Google, but also very player friendly, so we can have as many players as possible enjoying Guild of Guardians. We will also have the ability for people to switch between to go back and forth between their custodial and non-custodial wallets. So in the future, what we want to do is we want to add more optionality for players as well. Some, probably the more crypto native audience, may prefer to use their own wallet. Most of the more mainstream audience probably don't. So we'll be adding more functionality there as well in the future. Here, this is just a very simple screenshot of what it looks like to create your account. So you just put in your email, put in your username, and then what happens is you then get a code in your email, you put it in, and you made an account. It's very easy to log in.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that.
Live
right
now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I just want to add to that, Derek. So I think wallet onboarding is not one of the more flashier topics, but I think it's one of the more important topics. As you know, it's the whole blockchain games and everything. Like the average user, they're very intimidated and they're quite fearful of interacting with different wallets and everything. So I think the fact that we're kind of really making sure that we're working on this, giving users a chance in the long term to either have access to like a custodial wallet or a non-custodial wallet, that's quite a big it's quite a big leap, because now we're allowing crypto native people to actually have their own custody of their wallets. And for people who they want everything to be kind of automated for them, they also have that option. And this is just going to reduce the friction from onboarding someone from mainstream into blockchain games. And I think over time these processes are just going to becoming more and more developed, right? And that's just going to increase mass adoption. So I think this is really good news for everyone.
Yeah, we'll share more information as well later about exactly how this is going to work and how to get stuff in and out of the wallet. But yes, there's stuff happening here. It's kind of the key point. So the second high-level update is around roadmap. There is a picture here that we've included that was also featured in a previous update that highlights a high-level game development roadmap. So this doesn't include everything we're doing. It only includes things related to the game release. But from the game perspective, we're on track currently to complete the alpha testnet. So the pre-alpha demo was released, I think, in March. So the middle of first half 2022, we're on track to release alpha testnet sometime in the second half of 2022. Which is great news, and also it's not incredibly easy either. It's a lot of Proteus notoriously delay. And so this is there's a lot of hard work going behind making sure everything actually happens. So the next thing that we wanted to cover was around the actual complexity of what we're doing to integrate the blockchain. So a lot of what we're talking about is we're working on integrating blockchain to the game, but what does that actually mean? And why is that hard? So we wanted to highlight, give some more details here, and also just really emphasize that we're doing a lot of things for the first time that no one in the world has ever done before on technology that is new. So if crypto technology, layer 2 technologies, etc. And so we're trying to do this in a way that is robust and scalable, because we don't want to do it but not be able to service the number of players that we expect. We want to do it in a scalable and robust way. And so that's why this is actually a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into doing all of these things. So Ryan and Josiah, feel free to add in here, but I'm just going to highlight kind of some of the features that exist that touch blockchain. So first off, we have the token. So when players play the game, they get gems or tokens for playing, and there's a whole system that kind of determines how players are rewarded based on their gameplay. But this is something which we've kind of created, and we've created in a way that we want to be able to configure it remotely so that we can adjust the economy and make sure it's sustainable, and that's very important. A second one is merging, which is a lot of people may be familiar with. If not, it's effectively you have a bunch of NFT heroes or even non-NFT heroes, and you merge them into one hero of a higher rarity. So it's a core element of the gameplay loop, and it's kind of what allows for the whole ability for players to play and earn.
Yeah, and to just dig a little deeper into that, even a little peek behind the curtain, is that we saw all the feedback from merging from the closed alpha. We've done a bunch more testing about merging since then. And kind of our goals right now for the system are to make it simpler, and so it's something that we there was a lot of confusion around, like, oh, I need 5 of the same, or I need 8 different, and do I have any control over what the results of what I'm merging are? And so we really want to devote a lot of effort and time into making sure that the merging system, not only is it just, we don't want it to feel like a slot machine where you just pull the wheel and you're like, I hope I get what I want. Like, we want to make sure that the player, when they engage with the system, is engaging with something that they know is going to result in something that's going to push their progression forward. And that can be really hard to do because you have to balance that with the economic implications of, well, if everybody's progressing and everything you do is a win, then that's just going to lead everybody to the end of the finish line that much faster. So yeah, there's a lot of thought going into making sure this works, making sure that it's balanced, and making sure, most importantly, that it's something that's enjoyable to engage with.
Yeah, so I can't add on too much, obviously, from what Josiah and Derek added on, because they're a lot more deeper in these aspects of the game. But I can definitely say that there's so much work going on behind the scenes to make sure that every process or procedure that we have, it's analyzed at a very deep level. So we're ensuring that the sustainability of the economy and all the game mechanics are as solid as they can get.
Yeah. So the third area which touches blockchain in Guild Guardians is salvaging. So this is where players can burn or kind of destroy certain equipment in order to get back some crafting resources. That's another thing that we're building, right? The next thing that we're building is guild crafting. This is probably one of the biggest parts of development for the team, and it's one of the core mechanics of the game. So basically, players get together and work together in order to craft these powerful items that can then be sold and earned. And there's tie-ins between guild crafting and raids and crafting recipes and all these cool things that help increase engagement. But ultimately, it's a very complex feature that involves different wallets, different accounts, calculating rewards and things like that. And so this is something where it takes time for us to finish working on. But it's looking good. Guild recipes is another one, right? So guild recipes are required in order to craft items, and this is another area where we need to integrate this part of the game with the blockchain as well. And this is, if we do this effectively, this is going to tie in the guild raids mode really well into the rest of the gameplay, and it's going to add another layer of kind of strategic depth and cooperation into the game.
Yeah, it's very important that, because recipes feed into guild crafting, and guild crafting is the thing that most people are socially and cooperatively working together to create and kind of feed into the rest of the ecosystem so people can progress. It's very important to make sure these recipes are a highlight moment for players when you collectively get with your friends and your like-minded individuals you play with in your guilds, and you go out there, you achieve success, you beat that raid boss, and you come back and you're like, oh cool, we just got like a recipe for a legendary spear, and it's like power level 6,000 and it does all this cool shit, and like cool, awesome, highlight, put it up on Twitch, whatever. But yeah, we want to make that a really cool moment.
Yeah, and I think just to echo what Josiah just said, I think it comes back down to the ethos of Guild Guardians, and that's that we believe that gaming is more fun with friends, right? So just like how Josiah was, mentioning the intricacies of, the guild developments and everything like that, it just comes down to that final vision at the end of the day. And like MJ stated in the comments, Derek and GeoG team forward thinking from the start. Yep. So look, all these comes back down to our ultimate vision and our original ethos, and all the game design, choices that we make and everything. It all kind of just goes back into that.
Yeah. I think the last two places where we're thinking about integrating with the blockchain as well is in the marketplace. So there's the gameplay experience, which we're spending a lot of time on, but we want to make sure that the out-of-game experience is also exceptional. So we're currently looking at the marketplace trade experiences, talking to different marketplaces, and figuring out how to actually make that as good as possible as well. Right? And then custodial wallet bridge, kind of I hinted before that we're looking at a custodial wallet. One of the things we're building as well is the ability to go back and forth between your custodial wallet and your non-custodial wallet. So this will enable us to have anyone on board and play without ever creating a wallet, but it'll also enable those who want to kind of go back and forth or store things that they earn in their non-custodial wallet if they wish, and have that flexibility in order to do that, right? So that's kind of one of the things we're working on. Ultimately, there is a lot of complexity in the actual engineering of all of this. These are, at least 7 different areas where the game has to be very well integrated with the blockchain. And so this is kind of one of the things that we're working on a lot behind the scenes right now.
Yep, thanks for that, Derek.
It's also not exhaustive, right? So this is the first set of features that we'll have for testnet alpha. As I won't say what we're doing, but as we've got different ideas for additional things we can do after that.
Yeah, it's not exhaustive. I can think of like 3 other features also that for blockchain that are missing from the list, but we'll tease later.
So obviously we are a blockchain game. So Derek and Josiah just went through the blockchain integration part, and now we're going to be moving on to the game design updates. So, the UX, the lore, the art. And I think Josiah, the lead game designer, is the perfect person to help us, get through all this information, Josiah. So take us away, please.
Oh, man. On the spot now. All right. So yeah, I think the blog goes into a pretty good description about what we've been up to, how we've been kind of since closed alpha, what we've been focusing most of our attention onto, and it accurately describes, like, yes, we did a lot focused around getting new features into the game, iterating on existing features to make sure we address the feedback that came out of the demo, making sure that we devote like a pretty significant amount of resources into making sure that the gameplay gets even better than it already was, because ultimately, like, if we're going to onboard millions of people, like, the key to that success is making sure that they're having fun with the game. So like, if that very bottom level foundation is not there, then there are some serious issues. So a lot of resources going into making this work. We're very confident that this is going to come out well, especially based off of our most recent tests and our play tests. We're doing like constant like gameplay ratings, and we're getting like feedback from outside of the company, and it's trending in a really good direction. So that direction, and also on the economy front as well. Like, some of you have been talking with Howie in the Discord channel, and he pops in every now and then to, argue, I think, with a couple of you about how guilds work or something like that. And honestly, that's probably where we get a lot of our really great ideas, is when one of y'all ping us on there and like, hey, I've got a question. It says here, I do the math myself, and it's actually 13% better than this other thing if we run it this way. And like, awesome. You just did the hard work for us on that front. You didn't have all the pieces to the puzzle, but I can see your way of thinking and how it led you to this conclusion that this is something that we should be accounting for in our own designs. So like, we really love to get into the weeds with you on the economic front on that, just in that area.
Sorry, just to add in here, like I think the interesting thing to highlight is that we've got dedicated teams. So we've got dedicated people just focusing on how can we make the gameplay better, how can we make the combat more fun, how can we make it, how can we improve the overall experience. And we've got another, different set of dedicated people looking at the economy to make sure that's sustainable and balanced. And that allows them to really focus on getting to those outcomes.
Yep. And one other team there is the UX team, which you guys have spoken to Nolan before as well. You've heard him talk, and a lot of his efforts lately have been making sure, that he addressed the closed alpha feedback, of course. A lot of the stuff with comparing gear, not understanding how much energy you have, whether or not there's too many taps to go from like the main menu, summoning all your merging core loops all the way to get back into the dungeon, handling all that stuff, but also diving really deep into making sure that feedback and like readability while you're inside the gameplay and fighting enemies and controlling your heroes are something that is brought to the forefront, because as you probably saw in the closed alpha, like you would get hit, be no indicator. You would hit enemies, a very small indicator. How do you tell which direction you're facing? All sorts of stuff that we can improve. And he has devoted him and his team. He's actually grown his team like 3 times the size it was since we started closed alpha, actually. So he's got tons of resources at his disposal, and they're actually cranking out some really good stuff on that front. I think you guys will be really excited to see where he's taking the UX. One of the other things that personally I really enjoyed coming out of closed alpha was watching and reading and digging through like the strategies and theory crafting that you guys had come up with for how to tackle individual challenges. Like, okay, what are they relying on to succeed? Is this something that we can, we expect to happen in the real game with our real progression pacing? Absolutely, it's going to happen in these areas. So that means we need to influence the drop rates and the reward rates to ensure that they have the tools necessary to get over these humps and these challenges. And to me, that's a really fun thing, is to like give somebody challenges, watch you guys overcome them, and then us take those learnings and be like, oh, you thought it was easy this time, buckle up, because next time is going to be even more challenging. So a lot of the gameplay team, a lot of the content team have been focusing their efforts on making sure that challenge persists throughout the game and throughout all the extra dungeons that come down the road. We got a really bunch of pictures about some UX passes there for the dungeon flow. Those are really cool. You can dig into them in the article. Bots is a big thing. So that, from the very start of the year, even last year, was a top priority for us. And I'm pretty sure I spoke about it in Discord at one point, maybe in a different AMA. But just to reiterate with everybody, like thankfully we were with Immutable and our sister developers, or sister studio, the other group working on Gods Unchained. They have tons of experienced people and knowledgeable folk over there who are actively dealing with bot problems of their own, and they're sharing all those learnings with us and saying, hey, this is what we're encountering. We expect you guys will run into the same thing. Here's how we solved it. And we take those learnings and we look into our own loops and our own mechanics, and we have been able to like put together like what I would describe as like a 3-tiered, like not 3-tiered, like 3 different pillars of how we plan to tackle bots and like bad faith actors, and like price manipulators and all that stuff, and kind of coupling that together with all the different design disciplines: gameplay, UX, economy, content, systems, and figuring out how each one of those disciplines can contribute in their own way to fighting against this problem. Gameplay problems, it could be something simple like, if you're worried about bots running through a dungeon and they're killing everything automatically, maybe you can trick them for a little while by putting a fake invisible enemy with 9 million health just outside the arena, so that the bot is looking for enemies, sees the enemy, and just runs into the wall for the next hour. Like little tricks like that we've picked up along the way through all of our years of experience. On the UX front, we could do our own versions of CAPTCHAs anytime you want to do anything that might be important or interact with the blockchain to some degree. We can come up with some really cool, unique, in-universe ways to solve those problems as well. But yeah, basically the whole team, everybody on the design team is focused on this front and coming up with solutions. And then the last thing I would say here, because I don't want to spend all of our time talking because I tend to talk too much, is we have been putting a lot of thought into level design lately, which is, for me personally, kind of a really big thing. Just be candid and frank with everybody here, because we're all about transparency in the development cycle. I am not happy with the way our dungeons work. I think I've said this in some of our other AMAs. I've probably said it in Discord. They're short, they're linear. The replayability factor there needs to be improved. So what we did is we sat down, we figured out what are the gaps that we need to fill, we list out all the problems, how could we solve each of these problems, and I'm thinking, talking with Aaron, who's not here with us, our creative director, talking with our gameplay team over on Stepico's end, how can we tweak our designs and our tools and our processes in such a way so that we can create content that has more replayability, provides unique experiences, and really dives really deep into that discoverability aspect. So like every time you go into a dungeon, you encounter something new. And that's a really challenging problem to solve, but also it's a really exciting problem to solve. And ultimately, I think it will make everybody happier than just having like the same dungeon 1-1 every single time. So yeah, a lot of effort going into that front too.
I think that the general trend here, right, is that we're working on a lot of things that aren't just for our next short-term milestone for the launch. We're working and investing time in a lot of areas that will allow us to be successful long-term, and for the game to be played as many people as possible in the long term. And so this is something that isn't going to be visible necessarily all the time, or even upon launch. There are things that we're working on that might not be out yet, right? But ultimately, we think that this investment is valuable because it's what's going to make the game as successful as possible long term.
Quick note from me, actually. I see somebody, King, asked about the Reddit competition. I just want you to know that when they asked for all the ideas for the new game modes and how they could improve gameplay variety, we did go through all that. I think Ryan shared the recording of us going through like the first half. We have since sat down with the Stepico team, gone through even more of them, and they are actively, I will say that they have picked a handful that they like. So there could be some, we'll be passing that information over to the community team to decide what they want to do with it. But yeah, so progress on that front, at least on my end.
Yeah. Sweet. That sounds very exciting, Josiah. And I think it also shows that, whenever we actually give the community something to actually, give their say and insights on, we actually take it internally, we show it to the Stepico team that's literally making the game, right? And we're going to get that feedback that we get from that and give it back to the community and let them know exactly what we discussed. So +1 on that.
Yeah. So we've also been doing a bunch of stuff around economic modeling. I think this is one where there's a lot of data, but it's hard to describe in detail. But I think we'll let people read through this when it comes out. But one of our key focuses is there's a lot of kind of analysis that's going on to figure out how to create a sustainable economy. So just diving into, I think we're like halfway through now, geez. Or maybe 3/4 through, diving into some of the creative updates. Right. So first off is heroes. So heroes are kind of the star of the show within Guild of Guardians, and people would have their hands on a lot of the founder heroes, but there's also heroes that aren't founder heroes, that common heroes. There are also heroes that people will only be able to merge later on. So we won't sell them. They're NFTs, but you'll only be able to earn them. And so there's been work kind of behind the scenes on creating a lot of these. And I think I'm personally really love the way they look. I think there's a lot of diversity and variety in the heroes, in terms of their play style, in terms of their abilities, in terms of like just their representation and what they look like, right? And so there's a few different screenshots here that we've got of some of the heroes. I don't know if we've revealed any of these or not, but there's a few here, and I'm sure like over time we'll kind of reveal more information about these. We've got Mura here, Jokic here, and Aloria. And yeah, go ahead.
Jokic looks crazy. I love that dude. Look at that dude. Like that's wild.
Yeah. It does look very interesting.
So I think we've really upped the quality level of our heroes, and I'm really excited for the next batch of heroes to come out, and they're just all going to be super aspirational and fun to play, and also diverse. That's also important to us. Our team's also been doing work on animations, so maybe we'll just play this video.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what Aaron's doing here in these animation videos is he's making sure to like show the differences between the different types of movement speeds. So like you saw walking, sneaking, running, stuff like that. Then you're seeing some examples of like where we want to take the direction of like ultimate abilities, and specifically looking at the length of them, how long should they take, how many frames do they take, and get that impact that you get when you pop off an ultimate and it clears the room, and making sure that's reflected by what's actually happening on screen.
Yeah, and I just want to comment on that as well. I think a lot of people, they had questions about the artwork and the animations and the pre-alpha builds. I think we say this a lot. I think we're going to echo it again. Like, we're so early in development, and when we're going to take you along with the journey on us, you have to kind of accept that not everything is in how it's going to be like in the final vision, right? So I think it was great that Aaron showed us a few of those animations to see, exactly how far we actually want to take the scope of the game. And yeah, we're only just beginning.
Yeah, like some of the things as well is it's not all going to be finished. Aaron likes to say it's never going to be finished, but like when the testnet version comes out, that's still not going to be the final version. Right? When it comes out on mainnet, that's still not going to be the final version. We're going to continue to improve and work on it, and we're going to be working ahead of time in order to do that. And these upgrades in Ultimate Animations is one example of that. And there's different ideas and things behind the scenes as well that are going on.
Yeah, and I think to set expectations when Derek is saying it won't be finished, what that means is that we're only going to keep improving whatever we put out. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be improvements on every build. So it's definitely going to be improvements and things like that. But I think it's it's more of a positive sign, if anything, because it shows that we have the desire and we have the scope to continue improving and developing a product. So I think that's what Derek, just to emphasize what Derek is saying there. So we're never gonna just leave it at that, or if we are, it's going to be a very, very long time from now, not within the next few years at all. And yeah, we'll keep on improving during.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if World of Warcraft continued to upgrade everything continually, even after they launch. And on that topic, so visual style is one of the things that the creative team has been diving deep into. So how can we improve the feel and the style of the game, right? And some of this is tied into the lore of the game, which I'll touch on in a bit, and some of it's just purely talk about aesthetic styles. But here you can see Requiem. There is some lore text here that probably is too small to read on the stream, but it'll be available on the blog, and this is kind of giving everyone a sense of what it's going to be in the future. And here, this other one is kind of some of the visual development as well of the game, right? The disclaimer again is it's not going to look like this when we launch a testnet, but this is something they're working towards.
Yeah. Like this specifically was taken from, like, as he says, just set down there, visual development. So what we'll do is we'll do like like mock scenes, like, hey, here's a dungeon, we got all the character models, we pull them in, and we set up the animation tracks. Okay, this is what we take in the new animations that we developed from the game, plug them in, have them run from this end to this end, set up the lighting. Okay, now let's start fiddling with the camera. And so I've seen this running in real time, so I can tell you this is a shot like as you're running into this boss room, the camera like stops at a certain point, then like pulls down and goes behind your characters, and you walk through the door, and the doors close behind you, and like ahead of you, like the boss is like looming in the distance, and like you load into the boss room. So like a very quick example of like visual development, visual target of like, this is what we would like to see. These are the steps. And then now that we know what the target should be, we can define the steps and the processes needed to reach that target to get it in game.
Yeah, I think this is an area where I'm sure we'll, reveal some more content on, or leak some more content on in the future. But it's very exciting.
Yeah. And as exciting as it is, I also do want to set expectations. Like, we're not going to have this ready for test and alpha launch, but I think the key thing is that we're building the foundations that's going to let us take us to the next level. And I think as long as you guys, get these transparent updates from us, then you can always talk to us as well. And you'll see during every build, it's going to improve like we were going back to before. So don't expect it, this year, but we are definitely working towards it. And that's our ultimate vision. And I think the fact that we're sharing that vision with the community shows that we are dead serious when we're trying to reach that visual target.
Yeah. Another thing that we're working on is world and lore, right? So we want to build the foundations of Guild of Guardians. And Guild of Guardians isn't just these individual dungeons that you're playing in. Guild of Guardians is a world and an IP. And we want that to be very clear, and we want to build out the world and lore of Guild of Guardians. And this is really important for us to kind of set the foundations to potentially begin to expand Guild of Guardians, right? So, there's many different questions that I don't know if any people ask themselves at night. Why are the Guardians there? Why? Where do they all come from? What is this world that they inhabit? Well, these are things that we're answering, and that we either have answers for already, and they're reflected in what we do, or are things that we're actively working on. Again, I think this is an area where we'll reveal more information as we go, and also a very interesting area where we can kind of share our progress, get input from the community, and kind of continue to develop it in that way as well. So
just to quickly
the universe.
Just to quickly comment on that, Derek, in regards to lore. So recently we had last Friday, we had a Tomo, sorry, just if I butchered that pronunciation, but we had a giveaway where we actually also brought in a graphic as well. And I think that actually gave a snippet of what her lore was like. And I think there's also positive feedback with the community. And I can just say, so we're definitely building that in the background. And over time, we're just going to be sharing more and more information regarding, all the things that you guys want to find out about.
Yeah, it's exciting. So next one is staking. So we've put this in here just because we get asked this question a lot. To recap, right, kind of the one of the major things that's unique to the GOG token is active staking. And how that works is 20% of all primary sales and 20% of all, secondary fees that go to us end up actually going into a rewards pool that gets distributed to gem holders. And so this is something that is in development. There's no date on it, but we're planning to release this before public alpha. And then over time, this is something that we want to improve as well. So we've got various ideas for how to gamify it more, link it more to the gameplay, and so on. So just want to provide a quick update there. And then team update. So Josiah and Ryan would have both been witness to this, but our team has grown a lot. And this is something that is very much behind the scenes. But we've brought in some great people from many different backgrounds, and we're looking to continue to grow. We recently posted an article about what it's like to work with us. There's more details in the link, and the different roles we're looking for. So finding good people is actually one of the biggest drivers to success. So if anyone wants to help us with that, there's also referral bonuses if you know anyone suitable for those roles. One thing as well we wanted to highlight, because it may not be immediately obvious, is that actually the growth of our team is a short-term investment, because it slows down our velocity in the short term. Hiring is not free. It takes us a lot of time to find great people, review their resumes, interviews, etc. And then it takes a lot of time to onboard them. So, for us, hiring is actually, slows us down for the short term, but in the long term, we believe is absolutely the best thing to do to grow the team significantly in order to kind of achieve our longer term goals. There's a list here of the different people we've brought on board. You can see there's quite a few. I won't go through all of them. But yeah, there's quite a few. The sadder news as well is that we're saying goodbye to kind of one of the OG GOG members. So Nick was the kind of marketing manager, and he has stepped down to travel the world, really. So he wants to live and experience the world, and we're very supportive of him. He has added an incredible amount of dedication, passion, and value to Guild of Guardians, and he kind of will always be welcome back here. But we've decided to part ways, and he's kind of gone traveling around the world pretty much. So we wanted to kind of announce this here as well, and just to formally kind of say farewell to Nick, who we know has been a big member of the community. And hopefully we'll continue to pop by and say hi. So kind of the next, I think this is the community update. All right, so we actually have a lot of content. So community update. So there's many different things happening to behind the scenes as well on the community side. So we very much value the community, and it's actually a very important part of our strategy as well. So we place a lot of value and emphasis here. I think there's some of the things that we're working on. First is we're working on a builders fund. So this is the idea of how can we best empower and reward community members to build stuff in the GOG universe. And so we want to directly support projects. We want to support people who have either will do it in the future or have already done it. And this is something that we're working on right now. We are also working through the IP side as well. So we're kind of like in very initial discussions with lawyers about how can we empower, like legally empower a community to build stuff around the GOG universe. So that's one. The second one is guilds. Guilds are a very important strategic part of the guild economy, of the gaming economy right now. We believe that there is an ideal, good partnership model right now that we can structure with them. And we're currently in discussions of figuring out what that exactly looks like. We're hoping to experiment, have a few different experiments in the future with some of the top guilds, with the ultimate goal of working together, with aligned incentives to build and grow the best possible game. And then we've got a few partnerships that I think that are super exciting. They're kind of bigger than any partnership we've done before. They're redacted. We don't want to reveal what they are. I think we were not able to share it at this stage. All we can say is kind of these will be some of the biggest things that have happened in the Web3 gaming space. So this is something that we're super excited for, and we're planning for. That's all I'll say for now. And then finally, kind of market outlook update. There has been a bit of a bear/crab market recently, and we just wanted to share a bit more insight into what that means for us. So first off, I think bear markets aren't fun for everyone here, at least on a personal level. So it's not great if you're very invested in crypto and the market goes down. So obviously look out for each other. For Guild of Guardians as a project, though, we actually think it's a good thing, right? And we actually think it benefits us. And there's a few reasons. So first of all, we have a lot of money on hand. We recently raised $200 million in a Series C, and so we can survive a multi-year bear market without revenue. That is incredible for us, and it's not something that every game can do. The Second one is kind of in this market, that's where we believe fundamentals and utility and quality will matter more. It becomes less about speculation and more about, is this a good game? Is this a good project? And that's where we think we can really shine. The last one is, in a bear market is also where interesting opportunities arise. You have, just like when you're investing, when kind of buying when others are fearful, we want to do the similar thing. We want to seize the opportunity when others aren't as keen to get in or grow in the space. And so this is an area where we believe there is lots of opportunity for us. Either way, it doesn't matter for us, we're going to build. But, regardless of outcome, we're here to build the best possible game, and we're very well positioned to do so. That's it. I think that the summary is the same. I guess we're very open for feedback and input as well to the format of this. So, we should.
Yeah, that was awesome, Derek. Thanks for that. And I think just to add on to that in terms of community, yep. So recently also, we started having Twitter spaces with industry professionals, and I think we're getting a lot of positive feedback from that. I think people are getting a lot of very valuable information from those talks. And also, I think me and Caitlin actually had a live stream of the pre-alpha demo build a few weeks ago, and then obviously today we have another first live stream that we kind of did. So we'd love to see if the feedback that you guys have as a community. Let us know if you enjoyed it, what we could do better, and I think that wraps it up. I think if anyone wants to say any comments, I can bring them up on stage. We can talk about it. So Kalia, who's coming to Twitter Spaces at 3 p.m. So this is a reminder for anyone listening. We have a Twitter Space with Justin Hulog and Veronica Fu from the Mutable Studio later today in about 2 hours. And we're going to be talking about, all things Web3 gaming, Immutable's current plans with the games and future ideas. And there's going to be a lot more as well. And, are we ready to market to the mainstream? Does it have to be later? A lot of really interesting Web3 topics, especially gaming, of course. And let us know in the comments how you guys found the stream today. Do you have any final words as well, Josiah, for your first stream appearance?
It was fun.
We'll do it again.
I'm the best public speaker.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing more of these. I think the community obviously really appreciate it, the interaction that we bring, and just putting the face through the voices. And I think as we kind of get out of this early development stage, and in the future when we become a household name in the blockchain gaming industry, we'll definitely be doing a lot more. No promises or anything, but I can imagine we'll have our own, going to conferences and everything like that. And fingers crossed for that. So when will the diaries be available to read? So the diary will be published as soon as this stream is over. Obviously give us a bit of time to just get that fully out. And you'll probably see it on Twitter, and I'll also put it into the Discord in the original announcement I just did. And yes, I think thanks everyone for joining and taking the time to join today. I think there's a lot of people who seem quite excited after that massive medium entry.
Yes, thank you everyone, and this will be a video as well, so we'll other people will be able to watch it. Feel free to share it to anyone else as well.
Yep. Props to the community team for putting this together. It was a huge article. A lot of work went into getting this set up, getting all the questions. I know Justin met with a dozen people. Kalia worked hard to get all this stuff together as well. So the community team doing work. Yeah,
big shout out to them, and also everyone in their respective departments who actually put in the information, to share with the community. And for anyone who is calling it night, I know it's quite late for some people, good night. And for people who are going to be joining the Twitter space in 2 hours, I'll see you there. Until next time, guys, take care.
Bye-bye.